On today's adventure, the first series of 6-inch Indiana Jones Adventure Series and the Ark of the Covenant.
It's morphin' time!
Hello, this is Soundout here, and welcome to another Indiana Jones review. Today we're taking a look at the 6-inch Adventure Series Wave 1, featuring Indy, Marion, Sallah, Belloq, and Toht from Raiders of the Lost Ark. Also, the Ark of the Covenant. We're going to be looking at all these figures today, but if you haven't caught my previous Indiana Jones reviews, I've reviewed Disney's Artifacts, which are the prop replicas that they've released at the theme parks, as well as the Hasbro Retro Collection Wave 1, which are recreations of the original Kenner figures. So go check those out if you haven't. They always could use a little bit more love. But today's main focus will be the 6-inch Adventure Series. I'm very, very excited to get into these. And if you are looking for a specific figure in this review, there will be chapter times in the description as well as the timeline. So be sure to check it out. But let's take a look at all 5 figures, plus the Ark of the Covenant. Alright, so we're going to look at the packaging for the Adventure Series. We've got, of course, Indiana Jones, as you can see there, in his look from Raiders of the Lost Ark. It even says Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark. What's kind of cool is, unlike a lot of the Hasbro plastic-free packaging lately, it's matte in some places, glossy in others, so it gives it kind of a nice texture to it. I actually think, looks-wise, this is probably like the nicest looking plastic-free packaging. G.I. Joe's pretty good too, but I do really just like the way this came out. On the side here, you can see the Build Artifact, which we will talk about, of course. And on this side, we have nice artwork of Indy. There's Indy taking the idol, Indy on the horse with the Jeep chase. And then here is all of his accessories. He comes with quite a bit. And then there is Indy. But as I've been studying and covering plastic-free packaging, as you can see from the videos I've posted, such as Let's Talk About the Plastic-Free Packaging, I want to point out how it looks inside, because I had Marion prior to this, so I kind of know what I'm getting into. As I'm trying not to wreck the box. I do like these boxes quite a bit. But let's take a look at the plastic-free packaging for Adventure Series. So you can see here we've got Build an Artifact, which shows you how to assemble the Ark of the Covenant, which is great. There's the accessories kind of folded up and pushed in underneath this cardboard. And then here is Indy, and this is the part I don't like. I don't like this at all. In the box itself, because of the nature of that not really being not pegged in, the way, because it's on the back side of the tray, you can hear the figure rattling around, and that is kind of unfortunate. But it does make it easy to get out, but I kind of would have preferred just instead having this down here and then just like had this here so that the tray holds it in place better. Something like that. But let's look at Dr. Jones. So something to keep in mind out if you're getting this guy, yeah, the hat is molded to his head. It doesn't remove, which also means, you know, depending on how he was packed in the bag, he's supposed to be packed in the bag like this, so that way his hat stays properly shaped. And the other nice part is because they're not squishing the head underneath here, because it's just kind of resting in here, that does mean there's a higher chance of his hat being in the proper shape. But there you go. And then you come over here, pop that, slides it out. This works functionally better than a lot of things, especially like the Power Rangers ones. And then here is all of the accessories, which all spill out of there. And then the nice part is you have kind of like this map design on the paper bags. So I think it's good. I think, you know, I still sort of miss the, you know, plastic trays in a way, but in a lot of ways, this is totally fine. I think I'm going to give this a passing grade. I just do wish we had something so that the figures aren't falling out the back as soon as you open them. All right, so here is Indy himself. Now, I'm excited because I've wanted a 6-inch Indiana Jones line for a while, and also just in general a 6-inch Indiana Jones to go with all the other great 6-inch action figures we've been getting in the last few years. Let's talk about head sculpt. Let's talk about focus. You can see the brim of his hat does put a nice little shadow over his eyes. I do think his eyes seem to be painted a little high. It kind of makes him look like he's looking up all the time, but I think they did a good job. I think the paint scheme on the stubble there is good. It is slightly sculpted as well, so it's not completely just paint, but it gives him that nice look to him. You know, it definitely, you know, Harrison Ford is tricky to capture, but I think they did a pretty good job, all things considered, with this one. Now, with the hat is not removable. It is glued to his head, it seems. I don't think there's a, doesn't look like there's a second half to the head up there. So, you know, if you do take that off, keep in mind there may not be the rest of the head up there. But that also means, by not having a removable hat, it looks more natural on him. action figures removable hats, it'll always look a little weird. Has to be done a very specific way, but this seems to work pretty good. And the reason why is because when you wear a hat, it squishes down your hair. So when you have a figure that wears a hat, if they're not bald, it's going to look weird because you can't do the squish factor on the hair. So I think it turned out pretty good. Really nice details on the jacket. You can see like the worn spots in the leather, which is just really, really cool. This is the kind of detail that Star Wars Black Series kind of started doing and then just sort of abandoned. So I like to see if that has continued here. Then we got the shirt underneath. Now, if you open the jacket too wide, it does look a little weird because the butterfly shoulder joints on this guy do actually are cast in brown, not the shirt color. So, you know, you can't see it from the outside. But if you open the jacket too wide, it looks like his shoulders are really narrow. But you can see the bag here. Now, the bag is listed as a separate accessory. I'm not going to try to remove it. I don't see the point. But it does move. It is on its own separate axis. The gun belt will come back to because it's a little bit more complicated. There's the pants, pretty tan, pretty normal. Shoes, they also have like scuffing and extra like dirt detail on it, which is really, really awesome. I do like the way he turned out. And yes, he does have single elbows and single knees, but I think it does make the sculpt look a little bit cleaner, so I'll take the articulation hit in that department. Let's talk about this gun belt. So the gun belt is a separate piece. You know, it wraps all the way around. This is where you can hold the whip, which the whip, I think, it's like the one thing that doesn't look realistically colored, and I'm not sure that this is just me, you know, noticing, because it's the only thing that doesn't have, like, you know, kind of a paint wash to it, but it does kind of stand out just a bit. I guess is my only complaint, but I'm not really sure how it could have been done differently. And then you got the gun holster. Now, with both of these, I've got the things they hold in them. So once you pop this, you can pull this out, and you can grab his pistol. And so the pistol there, it does look a little warped. It's just because the belt slightly warps it. But getting that little plug back in, really difficult. But this has been a thing I've noticed a lot of people online have been talking about. How do you get the whip to stay in place? Because it can be kind of tricky. You have to essentially loop this around and plug it into the belt. I have a method, and I wanted to show it with the whip on, because I don't know if I can recreate this. But essentially, if you pop it off, you can, of course, remove the whip. There's another whip included. But you see that it's kind of tricky, because when you try to push this in, it doesn't want to stay in. What I found was the best method, and it's kind of convoluted, but essentially you want to raise the gun belt above the pants belt. So that way you can get this up here, and then push it in like this, and then pull the belt towards you. So you want to line it up like this. I'm trying to make sure I can show this on camera. Line it up like this, and then push the belt towards you. So that way you're kind of getting this like squeeze and pull motion. So that way it gets the mushroom peg over the hole. And it's easier to do it than running into the pants. I can't really do it on camera well, but essentially the way I've done it is to just kind of like spread all this apart. You know, it's easier to do it without the whip, obviously. But, you know, you can do it with the whip. But there you go. Like that. So exactly like that. You just got to make sure it goes in as far as it can. And you can see it. I don't know if you can see it, but on the other side, it does protrude a little bit. It's not the most secure connection, but once you do that, you have that, and you can lower the belt once again, and it's all buttoned up. I'm going to leave it buttoned up just for the sake of it not flapping down here when we do the articulation, but that is how I've done it. Similar thing with the pistol holster, which isn't as hard because it does have like the clearance behind it, and it's a thicker peg, but it still can be kind of tricky. That's like the only like things that I don't like is just that system. But again, it's not like there's really a better way to do it, you know, without making it larger, which you can't because, well, 6-inch action figure. But let's talk about that articulation. All right, so here we go. What's really cool is that there's a lot more joint and articulation than you think there would be. First of all, the head is on a ball joint on top. That means it can look up, it can look down, it can tilt slightly. It gives them a lot of expression and posability options. You also get the actual neck itself is a separate piece, which can sometimes cause a problem where like the head and the neck aren't aligned. The neck doesn't move that much on his, from what I've noticed. Shoulders move out. They move forward and back, a lot more back than forward just because of the jacket. But you have that option, 360 of course. Elbow, single, but that's about as far as a Hasbro double jointed elbow normally goes, so I'll allow it. That's not bad. And you also get a swivel there, and then you get a wrist joint, which is on a ball joint. What's interesting is that they've switched to kind of a different hand socket. So most Hasbro figures, when they have alternate hands, would have the stem and you shove the stem into the arm, and that has broken on a lot of people. It's not a great method, but it's just a method they've been using. They've now swapped it on the Indy figures to have the ball joint here, but unlike SH Figuarts or other like import lines, this doesn't move. It's a solid stem, and then the ball joint action is here. So this still moves, you know, it still rotates, it still bends in and out. It's not as much as those intense hinges, but you know, you can get a pretty good deep bend either way, and then of course it pops off if you go too far. I like this a lot better. It's way easier to swap the hands. He's got a lower torso ball joint, nothing in the torso itself, but that's fine because I don't really think, you know, with the jacket that would have done anything. Hips move out only about that far. They move forward. They don't really move back that much. Thigh swivel, single joint knee, but once again, goes pretty far. Maybe not as far as the double joint, but this is Indiana Jones. He's not doing crazy karate stuff, so I don't really need the double joint knees. And then we've got a swivel there. On top of that, slight forward and back, a little bit left and right, and a little bit rotation as well. So pretty good. They've hidden a lot of joints in this figure, and you honestly can't notice them. But of course, he has to come with some accessories to make those joints worth it. First things first, he comes with 2 different fists. Normally, fists on action figures not the most exciting accessory, but Indy's gotten out of a lot of situations by punching them, so I think that's appropriate. So of course he does come with a hand with a trigger finger for holding the pistol, and that is the nicest trigger finger I've seen on a Hasbro figure in a while, G.I. Joe including, because I didn't have to stretch it at all to fit the gun around it. He also comes with this relaxed hand, which has just enough grip strength that it can actually hold the coiled whip if you so wish. And of course he comes with the whip in the full extended version. So yeah, first of all, you can get him in dramatic whip poses. You don't need double joints. It's awesome. This is the whole reason Dial of Destiny exists for me at this point. I just really wanted nice Indiana Jones figures, and I got it. He does have a little bit of trouble balancing in a wider stance because of the nature of him having, like, normal-sized feet. But once you get him stable, he's pretty stable. But let's look at that whip, because he does come with a specific holding hand for it. Here's the whip, and it's probably my least favorite part of the figure, simply because it comes packaged in the bag like this, right, which is fine, except you go to uncurl it, and it really just wants to stay in that position. I'm sure heating it up will help, but I know some other people have had worse with the actual, like, positioning of it. I'm trying to, like, get it to at least get out a little bit more dramatic, because it is just this kind of malleable, softer plastic. You can see the handle's kind of warped even. It works for what it is, but, you know, there's not, I don't really know. Once again, it's the, you know, this is kind of a problem, but I don't really know the solution. It kind of looks like a lasso half the time. But, you know, if I could get this, like, out like this, that would be great. It's starting to loosen up over time. I've had it for a few days. But, you know, it does kind of tend to just lasso itself. You know, we don't really want Indy doing this to himself, because that would just be embarrassing. Indy comes with the golden idol of fertility from the opening sequence of Raiders of the Lost Ark. And this last hand holds that idol really well. Well, sort of well. I mean, it falls out kind of easy. The thing is, I have gotten it to where you can hold it like this, suspended. It just takes a little bit of friction, but he can hold it if he's, you know, just going to grab it like that. There's really no other position to do it with, but I'm glad that he has an option to hold it. And then Indy's build artifact piece is the 2 angel pauldrons. These are the smallest part of the arc, but Indy comes with the most accessories, so it all balances out. For fun, here is Indy with his retro counterpart, and I mean, I like this. It's kind of the classic retro style, but this is more my jam. I'm definitely more into the movie accurate look. So overall, Indiana Jones is a great, great figure. If you've been looking for a 6-inch Indy, you can't go wrong here. For 25 bucks, the fact you get the idol, you get 6 hand options in total, 2 versions of the whip, the pistol, the working holsters, as well as a part to the arc, you really can't go wrong with this. This is honestly just an excellent, excellent figure, and definitely shows the capabilities of Hasbro and the Lucasfilm brand team at Hasbro and what they can do. But let's find out if the rest of the wave is just as good. So here's the packaging for Marion, and as you can see, you know, you got the nice render here, but then you have the really nice artwork of Marion on both sides. Really cool, like, you know, here's a scene from the movie kind of artwork, which I do really like. I actually don't think these look that bad on the outside. I'm not going to go through the inside of all of them because that would be sort of pointless, but essentially you can see she's in the same style as Indy's box, but I do like the way it looks overall, especially this really nice artwork on the side that is reminiscent of the Drew Struzan art that was done for the posters. All right, so here is Marion, and I gotta say, they did a pretty good job with the head sculpt. I think it looks like Karen Allen, and I think it just it invokes Marion. Once again, just like with all of the, Hasbro likenesses, it's not going to be perfect, but I think they did a pretty good job translating her look from the film. What's also really cool is they give her a lot of painted details. All the tampographing on the arms and sleeves to replicate this shirt that she wore during the Cairo sequences. Down to the shoes, which I think look really nice. They did a good job incorporating the articulation without breaking up the design too much. And you see the pants are a nice bright red. But overall, I mean, this is, I think, the most action-oriented costume Marion got to wear, even though she did action in other things. When you're talking about translating to an action figure, this is the, I don't want to say easiest, but probably the best for the sake of articulation. This just works out better than any of the dresses she wore in the movie, because those would get really expensive. But yeah, I mean, she looks really good. I think she actually turned out quite nice. I don't really have anything else to say, per se, besides, well, it looks good. So let's move on to the articulation. First things first, her head is pretty articulated. They actually made her hair softer, which means she can actually look left and right. This shouldn't be an accomplishment, but a lot of women action figures with their long hair have had this issue. A lot of guy action figures, too. I got a lot of Thors that can't pose properly. She's got the ball joint neck at the top and then a ball joint neck at the bottom, though I don't know what's the point because you can't really get in there to turn it that much. You got shoulders that move out, 360, no butterfly. Elbows that bend, single. Not the best single, but not the worst either. Swivel. Then you have, what's interesting, she has the old style wrists that we used to have from Hasbro. So she's got a rotation, then an up and down. And then over here, she's got a rotation in and out. This one's a little loose on mine. It's like my only QC problem with her is that's a little loose. She's got the lower torso ball joint that pretty much does nothing besides being a waist swivel. Hips move out, they move forward, a little bit back. They actually, did cut the articulation to move back a little bit. She's got a thigh swivel. She's got this really deep knee joint that goes about 90. Articulation swivel there. And then she's got a forward and back pivot and a left and right. So you can actually get her pretty articulated. She does have smaller feet. That's just due to, being accurate. But you could get her posed into, I don't know why I have her doing like the Vegeta pose, but, you can get her crouched and posed if you so wish, like that. Now, she is a lot lighter on accessories than Indy. She does come with her frying pan that she used as a weapon. Rapunzel from Tangled learned a lot from Marion, is all I'm saying. If you wanted to have it held with two hands, it's doable. It's just tricky. And then it also, you can kind of get that going on here. Boom. There you go. So she's got the pan. It works pretty good. I'll typically think I'll just have her hold it with one hand, but it's pretty good overall. Her other accessory is a little trickier. It's that damned betrayer of a monkey. Anyways, this monkey always is going to get packed with Marion, it seems, from the retro and the vintage Kenner one to this one. But hey, he's articulated this time. His little head turns, his shoulders move, you can articulate the tail. And what's pretty cool is because of this, despite him being really tiny, he's got a lot of good painted details. He is a devious little scamp, but it is nice to see that they actually went the extra mile on his actual paint details. This is really impressive. So because of this, he can actually sit on Marion's shoulder pretty convincingly. Her hair is kind of flat, fluffer here and a little bit flatter here. And then because the tail can kind of loop around the bottom of her hair there, he can actually sit and stay pretty solid. Like, he's not going anywhere. That's really impressive. There's a lot of characters that would have, we can even articulate his arm out, I think. Yeah, that ain't going anywhere. There's a lot of figures that would have characters that sit on shoulders or arms and then just can't. This is really cool. I like that they sort of designed her to have the monkey on her shoulder like this, which I think is great. Marion's build and artifact piece is essentially half the main body of the Ark. Really nice sculpted and painted details here. It does come in two pieces like this. You just plug it together, and then there will be the other half we'll get in a few minutes. Here's Adventure Marion with Retro Marion, and you can see that, yeah, they have completely different costumes from different points in the movie, though I would love to see the opposite costume for the opposite style of figure. I would be down for it. So overall, Marion's great. She doesn't come with as much stuff as Indy, but I don't really know what she's missing. Pan, monkey, that's about it for this look of her. Plus, she does come with a large piece of the Ark, so it sort of balances out. Hasbro does budgets by waves, especially, it seems, for this line. Indy got a lot of extra tooling budget, but Marion is a completely new sculpt, and she has unique accessories, and I don't know when those could get reused, so there is a nice compromise to it. Not as great a price value as Indy, because Indy just comes with so much stuff, but if you're collecting the line, Marion is a must-have. All right, here's the box for Sallah. Once again, like with the others, it's pretty much, the same design, but you can see we got this nice artwork of Sallah here, and once again there, and then there's him helping Indy lift up the Ark, which is pretty cool. And on the back, you can see kind of the same stuff as the build artifact thing, I think, is well telegraphed on the package by the fact they mention it like 3 times, which is good to see, because sometimes Hasbro puts in these gimmicks and then doesn't advertise them well. So here we have Sallah. Now Sallah is outside of, I think, Marion and Marcus Brody, he's one of 3 characters that appears in more than one movie besides Indy. Sallah was, of course, in Raiders of the Lost Ark. He appeared later in Last Crusade, and he is in Dial of Destiny. So he's actually in 3 of the 5 movies. It's pretty good. Now Sallah was played by John Rhys Davies, who is distinctively not of the ethnicity that should be cast in a character named Sallah. And let's chalk that up either to 1980s casting or 1930s movie serials, which Indy takes a lot of inspiration from. But we have acknowledged the elephant in the room, but this is a nice figure of Sallah. So this is basically him from the sequence where they go down into the map room and then later retrieve the Ark. So it fits the theme of the wave having, hey, we're getting the Ark together kind of thing. But I do like the head sculpt. I think it's got a good likeness. It does help that he has a beard. The beard is sculpted, which is nice. And then he's got the head wrap. I do like the extra sand and dirt detail on the head wrap. It goes all the way from the top all the way down to the part that's tied off here. In general, though, he does have some nice dirt applied here, dirt along here, dirt along this skirt piece. It's just nice to see this extra level of detail. Certainly, they could have had it all clean, but I think it adds a sense of realism to have it not so clean, because they're out in the desert and stuff. But yeah, pretty cool. So this is a separate piece if you wanted to remove the vest, though just like with Indy, it does make his shoulders look weird. But then you got this, which does have a split in it, so you can get his legs to articulate. But speaking of articulation, let's get to it. So first things first, head, it's on this ball joint. The neck also moves. Shoulders move out. They move slightly in and out. He's got the butterflies, but they're not too crazy. 360 shoulders. Elbow goes further than 90. Rotates. He does have wrists on the same wrist socket system as Indy. Though you can remove them. He doesn't come with any alternate hands, but they are that same system with the ball joint on the joint, and then the hand moves on it. Lower ball joint movement, hips that move out, hips that move forward, but, get held up by the skirt. He does have a thigh swivel in there. He does have the single jointed knee that goes a little bit further than 90, a rotation. He's got no boot rotation, but a forward, back, left, right. So you got pretty good articulation, all things considered. Let's look at his accessories. So he comes with the shovel here, which looks pretty good, and his painted handle. Nice silver blade. It doesn't feel like the paint's going to rub off because it's not too tight of a grip. And yeah, now you can go dig up tombs and stuff. And then this other accessory is this bundle of rope, which you can see is quite large. It's a little tricky to get it to sit on his shoulder. I found just resting it all the way up here is the best option. If you have his arm down, it has a tendency to just fall off. So I kind of have it like this, like he's kind of carrying it, not necessarily naturally, but I think it works overall. Plus, you can give him the shovel, so you got kind of Sallah's yeah, let's do this. Let's find that Ark kind of thing, which is pretty cool. Sallah also comes with the largest single portion of the Ark, being the top and the bottom. It is packaged like this. You do need to split it. So this part is actually a little bit, the actual lid of the Ark is a little bit soft plastic, but be careful. These guys on here are pointy, all the little people around the Ark, but it is really nicely detailed. And then this is the base and the little standy part of it, which will connect up with all the pieces. So he does come with technically 2 pieces, but they are packaged together as one. So Sallah is great. Just like Marion, great likeness, great details, accessories that make sense, and there's not anything I can think of off the top of my head that he is missing. And he comes with parts of the Ark. So if you're collecting the line, definitely worth getting Sallah. All right, here we have Major Arnold Toht. Interestingly, they did put the full title for him, not just Toht. It's kind of cool. It goes with the more movie accuracy vibe versus the retros, which was going for the more Kenner vibe. A couple pieces of artwork there. There he is when they're opening the Ark, which is, iconic moment. And all of his accessories and stuff, really cool. Let's get to it. So here is Toht, and this is a cool figure. So what's really neat As you can see here, we've got, you know, his hat, his glasses. But remember how I was saying earlier about Indy where his hat wasn't removable because of hair? Well, you know, Toht's mostly bald, so they made it removable. It looks natural. Like, I didn't even think about it being a removable hat when we saw it in, you know, pictures. I was like, oh, you know, and no, it actually is removable. You can see he sculpted his hair. His glasses are attached. I don't know if they come off. I think they are molded straight to his head, but I do like that they are separate, you know, lenses there, but his eyes are painted underneath. Pretty good likeness overall. You can see the jacket on him here. Looks pretty good. It's not as intimidating as the Kenner one, because the Kenner one covered most of his body, but this is more natural to how it was in the movie. The sleeves, of course, are molded down. You don't actually get to put his arms to his sleeves, if he even did that. But here he is. Really nice suit body. Like, if you're looking for a suit body for customizing, Toht's your guy, because, like, this is pretty good suit. But yeah, I mean, it's mostly black suit. You can see there is some clash of the plastic color to the rubber overlay color type thing, but I think it works overall. I don't really have any complaints. Now, the other cool part about him is that the articulation still works even with the suit. So you got the upper ball joint, then the lower ball joint, but they attach the tie to it, so it kind of keeps it lined up, which I think is great. You got shoulders. Okay, that shoulder's really tight. We're going to do this one. The shoulders are really tight, but they move out. They have slight, you know, forward back, but much like Sallah, it doesn't really do much. 360 shoulders, elbows that bend, rotate. He's got the ball jointed hands like Indy. He's got waist under there. There pretty much is no torso movement, so this jacket isn't restricting anything, but that's just similar to Indy. You can get him to do the splits if you want. Forward, a little bit back, thigh swivel, single knee, but, you know, there's that, and an articulation point, and a forward, back, left, right. Now, Toht is not the kind of guy to be doing the splits and to be doing crazy karate action poses. So, you know, if he is a little bit more restrictive, it's okay, because this isn't his normal go-to fighting stance. I'm just doing silly things now, aren't I? Anyways, the point is with Toht, he doesn't have to do a whole lot, but he does more than I thought he would. Now, like Indy, Toht comes with a pistol. Unlike Indy, his pistol's actually painted. What's really cool is the handle is properly painted on him. He holds it well with his default pistol hand, and he looks really intimidating. He just looks really scary. Maybe not as scary as the Kenner one. I think the actual added details make him look more human. Not as terrifying, but it is cool that he has the pistol. He comes with an alternate hand, which features the actual engraved Staff of Ra headpiece detail, which looks pretty good. I mean, it's pretty red in there too, so I don't think you can make out the details that well. But it's definitely got the Staff of Ra headpiece design to it, which I think is great. And it's a really nice extra accessory. And I do like that it's an alternate hand and not the only hand option for that hand. So his last accessory is a little disturbing, and I really, really appreciate it. And if you haven't seen Raiders of the Lost Ark, just pause this video, go watch Raiders, come back. Yeah, don't skip around. Just go watch Raiders of the Lost Ark if you haven't seen it. It's a fantastic movie. You won't regret it. Anyways, it comes with Toht's melting face. Thank you, whoever decided we're getting, extra heads for really horrific things that happen in Indiana Jones movies, because it's happening with the upcoming Walter Donovan. But yes, we have an alternate head where Toht's face is getting melted by opening the Ark of the Covenant. And that's great, because the Ark is included in the wave. I love this. This is just the coolest thing. And yeah, the hat, same hat for both heads. But look at that. That is just beautiful. The intricacy of the paint detail and sculpt work is way more than I expected at a Hasbro, and I'm just like, yeah, I dig this. Coolest accessory ever in this line, honestly. Toht includes the other walls of the Ark. It's the same pieces as Marion's. They just, they're like, oh, hey, assemble it like this, but if you do it like this, it's the same as Marion's. They're, the two long walls and the two short walls are exactly the same. So just for fun, here's Toht with his retro counterpart, and I like the retro counterpart having this whole, like, half coat over the hand thing, because it kind of gives him a little bit slightly more intimidating look, just in general, because you can't see most of his body. Toht is fantastic. This is an excellent action figure. He comes with everything you could need for him. The removable coat and hat means you don't have to worry about an extra figure for that. The melting head, of course. The alternate hand with the Ra thing molded in, and his pistol, plus a piece of the Ark. I think he's totally worth it. This is definitely, him and Indy, I think, are the most price value worth it figures of the line, and I can highly recommend him. Even if you don't collect the Indy figures, he's totally worth it, because if you just need like an evil, scary dude in a suit, Toht is your guy. I am really impressed with this. This is a lot better than I ever expected out of a figure of Toht from Raiders of the Lost Ark. And here we have Renee Belloq, Ceremonial. Now, what's interesting is, much like with Indiana Jones, put in parentheses, Ceremonial, which makes me think there's another Renee Belloq they have planned. Hello, it's Soundout from the future. Since I shot that segment, they actually revealed that there is another Belloq coming. I totally called it. There is a 2-pack of Marcus Brody as well as Belloq in the white suit, which is coming out later this year. That was revealed at Star Wars Celebration, which happened between when I filmed that and when this video came up. So, decided to slot this in. Yeah, we are getting another Belloq, which is awesome. The others don't have those markers, so I kind of feel like they might be the only versions we're getting at least immediately. But it does seem like there is at least another Renee Belloq planned. But pretty cool. It's kind of funny, they did have Belloq in the same outfit in both Adventure and Retro. So let's take a look at him. So here is Belloq, our last figure of the wave. This guy's pretty cool. I think he turned out much better than the Retro one, which, as we discussed, looked more like a grandma. The extra layers of the robe help, because the Retro one pretty much just only had that pattern. This is definitely there. I think the head sculpt's great. It does look like Paul Freeman. Power Rangers customizers, if you're trying to use this for Ivan Ooze, maybe wait to see if we get like a Safari Belloq, something like that. Really cool though, the head wrap moves, pulls all the way back here with the tassels, but you still got the hair sculpted there. Really nice detail work. I think it's one of the better likenesses too, honestly. He's got the crazy necklace with all the gemstones on it. It's not removable, it's just kind of pegged in and glued in there. Which is pretty good. The actual sash, the extra detail. He's got a lot of sculpted and not a lot of painted detail, especially with all these white squares on him. Plus, this is a different texture from the rest of it, which is pretty cool. And yeah, much like Sallah, he does have the cut skirt where you can move the legs out. He's pretty much got like standard legs, I think. They're different than Indy's. They are different than Indy's. So each figure is a unique mold so far, which is impressive. But yeah, let's talk about articulation, because he is a little bit more restricted than the others. So head, of course, he's got all the movement, not only at that top ball joint, but the lower one too. So he's got, you know, kind of crazy movement. Like he can just look all the way down into the arc or all the way up. He's got shoulders, 360, no in and out on him. Elbow bend, really good. Articulation, he's got the ball joint there, the torso ball joint, the hips that move out. This is a lot stiffer than Sallah's skirt thing. So he's got a thigh swivel, he's got a knee, he's got ankle, what does it matter? You can adjust his legs under there, but you're not going to get like crazy poses. And that's pretty much it. But overall, I mean, he looks like Belloq from the scene, and I think that's just the goal here. Now, his one actual accessory is the 3-headed ram staff. It's nice that it's in, you know, white with gold, because that allows him to hold it pretty nice. And then he's also got this hand that is kind of in this pose to like outstretch over the arc. And yeah, he feels like kind of an accessory to the arc, doesn't he? Just a little bit. Speaking of accessories to the arc, Belloq comes with the poles to carry the arc. These have to be, you know, you can assemble them now, but they really need to be assembled with the arc, so that way you can get, you know, these pushed into the middle and these pushed in on the sides. So we'll do all that when we put the arc together. Just for fun, here is Adventure Belloq with Retro Belloq. You can see that, yeah, this has got sort of the vibe, but this is definitely a lot more accurate. So, Indy's fantastic, Marion and Sallah are great, Toht's also fantastic, Belloq's kind of the weakest of the wave. There always is going to be one. And that's not to say he's a bad figure. Much like with the others, it's like, what else would he come with? He's pretty much just for the collection, and that's the best way I can recommend him. On his own, unless you're a huge Belloq or Paul Freeman fan, okay. But you really get him to complete the arc and to complete the overall scenes you can do with that arc. All right, it's time to build the arc. So we're going to take the base plate. I'm going to line up. I'm going to do this in whatever order I please, because I don't know what the official order is. We're going to line these up. Oh, I thought those would just plug straight in. These got to plug in. Yeah, there we go. Just going to give it a little bit of force. These walls will plug in on the side like that. And then over here, same thing. We're going to square it all up. I guess I could have plugged the 4 wall pieces together, then plugged on the base. Once you get that, it's pretty secure. That is pretty solid there. You can see there's basically nothing inside, but you got that. For the lid, line up the angels on top here, like that. And like this, boom. So we got that. I mean, they're not totally square. That's because of the, I think, the flex of the lid. But we'll put the lid, it just slides right on. And then this is the hard part, is you got to line up these two here, and then you got to push in the sides of the poles. I have no idea if there was like a specific way of doing this. We're just going to kind of wing it. You can see there's some slight warpage to those because of the packaging. Oh, okay. I see. We can kind of get it like this, pull it forward. Let's do that on the other side. We can kind of get, oh, yeah, I kind of have an idea how I want to do this. Let's see if I can just plug this in and just, yeah, get that in like that. So the only thing is, like, you know, in the movie, Sallah and Indy put the poles in. You're not really going to get separate poles. You kind of just have to go with what you got here, which is getting this together like that. And I almost lost the other pole piece before we finish this. I want to do it all on camera. I want to do it properly. Show the viewership if this is easy or hard. And I'll get those to squeeze together a little bit in a minute. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much your arc. There's a little bit, I think, you know, the soft plastic here, the soft plastic for the lid does mean it's, you know, slightly warped. But considering everything was packed in like tissue paper bags, that's pretty good. I like that. So there we go. There's the arc. Now that I've got it all together, the poles still rotate. So I think if you want to, you know, kind of keep it looking nice and neat, like if there's a side that looks less warped than the other, that's my only problem, I think, is just the, these just don't seem like, yeah, there we go. Now I got it fully attached. The poles do look a little warped in the middle. The lid does seem to like just fall off because it is kind of heavy. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty good. I actually think, you know, unintentionally, I can just drop in like Toht's melted head, the idol, you know, the extra hands. Like if you want to just make this an accessory chest, that's totally an option. So of course we had to have Sallah and Indy lifting the arc out of its holding place. Actually, Sallah holds it a little bit better than Indy. Indy's hands are a little tight, but it is totally doable if that is your display option you want. And then of course we have Belloq and Toht about to open the arc. Though I'm noticing a distinct lack of random Nazi guy. Like, where's random Nazi guy, Hasbro? We need to complete the scene. We need to complete the scene. Now, of course, they were foolish enough to open the arc. Now that's just beautiful. I love this. Where is our third random Nazi guy in his melted face? Yeah, Belloq doesn't come with technically a, you know, blow up head thing. By the way, spoilers, but I already told you to go watch Raiders. Yeah, but you can pop Belloq's head off. No big deal. I love how gruesome this toy line is. It's beautiful. It's actually beautiful. So, honestly, Wave 1 of the Adventure series for Indiana Jones is fantastic. All 5 figures are really good. I mean, yes, obviously some figures like Indy are going to stand out more, and Toht has more accessories, but the other 3 are still great because they're not missing anything. I feel like these are complete experiences out of the box, which is great. And on top of that, this Ark of the Covenant's really cool. I love the build-a-artifact idea even more than like a build-a-figure because it feels like, you know, hey, if you're getting these figures, you're going to probably want all of them to complete scenes with the artifact, and that kind of works out. Now, Wave 2 is going to be Temple of Doom themed with a Skull Temple build-an-artifact, which is awesome. However, you know, 2 of those figures are Dial of Destiny themed, so it's not quite as cohesive as Wave 1. I'm excited for it nonetheless. And in general, if you are looking for Indiana Jones videos, I'm going to keep making them. I really love the Indiana Jones films, and I can't wait for Dial of Destiny, and I can't wait to get more figures. So I will be reviewing all of these. I'm planning to pick up everything from the Adventure series because who knows how long this is going to last. I'm going to enjoy it while we got it. And if the figures are going to be this good, I'm not going to mind doing that whatsoever. So stay tuned, hit subscribe and the notification bell. While you're down there, hit the like button. Leave a comment down below and tell me your favorite figure from this wave or which character you want to see in the Adventure series. I'm kind of holding out for some Crystal Skull characters just to really round this whole collection out. Also, be sure to check out my live streams Mondays at 5 p.m. Eastern. Anytime there's indie toy news, I will cover it there. So yes, come check it out. We have a good time. Also, be sure to find me on social media at Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Soundout12. You can find my awesome graphic designer on Twitter at DarkClaw643 and Hero Club at hero-club.com. And until next time, this is Soundout saying goodbye.